Shared consciousness is real. I will be speaking more about it, friends. I got some cracker clips for you. Let's listen to this. Shared consciousness. The idea that you and I, we don't learn independently. There's basically like a node out there, some sort of dimension, a pool of information, and we are getting fed this information. It's like a satellite. We're all beaming into this. Let's have a listen together.
Yep.
And I think there's something about, the whole AI conversation, which is that the brain is a Turing machine and it's this, calculator on steroids. And so if the brain is just this calculator, we're going to recreate consciousness via AI. And I think it's this total misnomer and misunderstanding of the brain. I, in fact, think we learn with low data sets. Babies come out of the womb with some understanding of grammar, a fear of snakes, all sorts of things.
This is encoded in something deeper, right?
Way deeper. And we're not learning through these large data sets. There's something very different about remote viewing, right? How do you explain
the 100th
that?
monkey. You ever hear about the 100th monkey?
No, what's the 100th? I want to hear that.
You didn't know about.
Yeah, there's a lot I don't know about.
No, so I'm paraphrasing, man. So probably getting hammered on this, but island of monkeys, certain type of monkey. I think it's in Japan that they have a species of monkeys that's separated by an island, the same species, but they're separated and they never interact with each other. Okay. They were doing experiments. They were dropping these potatoes on the island and they were getting covered in dirt and sand when they dropped them on the beach. And one of the monkeys figured out, if I just take it to the water and wash it off, then I can eat it without the sand, right? Yep. Simple thing. Well, it taught the other monkeys how to do it. And quickly the whole island knew how to do that. As soon as that, they call it the 100th monkey, as soon as a certain number of monkeys were realized this is what they do, suddenly and instantaneously the other islands started doing it. And so they don't know exactly what that mechanism is, but they think there's some kind of component of consciousness that's tied to that, that's allowing that to jump.
I think so.
And so, and there's other studies to that too. Like you saw Stanford did the one with the light and the plants.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of that that's starting to come out in science that's showing us that consciousness might be, there's a component to that that's we don't understand at all.
Well, there's another experiment, friends. You know that monkey with the potato island ones? It's really awesome. Everyone should know about that one. There's another one where they got a lighter. Okay, they got a lighter and they like my one right here. Yeah, so they got a lighter. They put up these different monkeys in different rooms, couldn't talk to each other, of course. They burned one of the monkeys. So they just bring up this lighter. The monkey looks at the lighter. Nothing happens. They go and they burn the monkey. Monkey loses his mind, okay? Why are you burning me, human? Yes, then later on, they just go to the other monkey next door. And then they don't, I think maybe they burnt like a few of them. Like I forgot the exact way. Maybe they burned like 5 of them. Burn 5 different monkeys. Yeah. Then when they eventually go down to them, what eventually happens is they just bring the lighter into the room, and the monkey hasn't seen the lighter before, just starts losing his mind. He knows he's going to get burned. So this type of stuff, it's this shared consciousness stuff is real. Let's continue. There's actually more to come.
We might have...
It's deeper.
Yeah. Speaking of uploading consciousness to the cloud and how weird that sounds from an AI perspective, that might be going on with our conscious. We might have a client server side interaction with our consciousness, but that's way more magical and robust. Yeah. And so a good example is the Bannister effect, where upload times are slower than download times. So breaking the 4-minute mile as the first person is going to be much harder than downloading that, going
that
forward.
Already exists, yeah.
And there's a guy named Rupert Sheldrake who studies all this stuff, and he says that if you grow a first crystal structure of its kind, it takes a long amount of time, because he thinks that that's proof that it's drawing from the local information field that hasn't been done before, so it takes a while for that new crystal structure. You grow that same crystal structure after that, it becomes much faster. Yes.
If you make a new chemical compound for the first time and you crystallize it, that crystal form won't have existed before because it's a new compound. And the more often you crystallize it, the easier it should get for crystals of that kind to form. And in fact...
That's amazing.
Well, it is actually really well known to chemists that new compounds are very difficult to crystallize. You maybe wait years before you get the first crystal, but thereafter it gets easier to crystallize all around the world.
That's insane. That's crazy. I think about sometimes athletic accomplishments too, where somebody pushes the bar just a little bit farther, and then all of a sudden it just seems easier or something, ostensibly. And you could attribute that to modern doping or something, but I think it's something more than that. It's almost as if an accomplishment that formerly was thought to be impossible is uploaded to a central monad or repository or something. And then if somebody calls upon it with the right resonance in the future, you know, it's that much easier because you have more data in the repository or something like that. He also,
Man, how wild. I did not know that. The crystals. So when we're talking about monkeys and humans, there's going to be more human experiments. We've got a brain. You kind of like imagine, oh, there's an aura, chakra, whatever it is, some sort of electromagnetic field, something, a different type of communication wave that we can't see, we don't understand yet. Another being, another dimension, whatever. But crystals, that's wild. You're meant to be an inanimate object. Interesting. You know, from some of the UFO leak guys, government guys, have actually also, friends, one of that Reddit leak of that guy who worked on or could have been a girl, that scientist who worked on like dead alien bodies. Remember I talked where we leaked it? There's that one science lab in Americana. Got the exact labs. Yes, so basically, I remember reading like the philosophy, the religion of like, you know, the Greys. Apparently, so everything has a life. Everything, even like your squeaky chair right now. This squeaky chair has life, yes. But I think what they basically said is, as you put more cells together, what they call a soul, it hits a critical biomass and then it reaches a mass, and I think it becomes something, or it's almost like asymptotic. It's almost like if you something has like one atom, one nerve, one cell. I forgot the basic unit. Yes, everything is a living thing. Everything. We're all connected. Everything is connected. Not just plants, like tables and stuff as well. Which is kind of funny to think, yes, the squeaky chair does have as much life form as everything else. It's just that, you know, has less cells in there. So it's makes you think, it really does, especially when it comes to this. So we can't really do all the tests for these yet. Or probably they can. They probably just don't want us to know. Let's continue. It's really interesting.
shows that if 1,000 people or 10,000 people do a crossword puzzle and a new person does that crossword puzzle the next day, they'll finish it a little bit faster than a random crossword puzzle that nobody has done prior.
So this ties into the same thing with the 100th monkey, man.
You know, friends, so that's interesting, yeah? So that shared consciousness works as well with humans and crossword puzzles. It makes me think about crypto. Like, new people joining in crypto now, they like pick it up faster than I guess when it was like in 2013. They're like, how does it work? But we never really like went into the weeds of it. We just assumed it's because of the absorbing information and the confidence of people learning and seeing people learn around you. So you're more willing and more open to learn because you know what's possible. But there's some truth going on here.
Same thing, 100th monkey, and just innovation popping up at different places around the world at the same time. The invention of the wheel or the invention of all sorts of things.
Diane talks about that too, right? Where what rocketry kind of happening like simultaneous in different places.
Why is it happening in Russia and the US and then later Germany all at the same time? Yeah. There's some sort of maybe predetermined arc of technology. And then you look at...
Yeah, so that's actually very common as well. Science, you know, even friends in Newton's law, there's some other dude who's like, they're working on the same things at the same time. But they're really, really rare individuals. It's like 1, 2, or 3 humans in the world working on this one thing. They're like so early, so tapped in to whatever information source that is. It's kind of like I said, there's a field out there, some node, and it has all our information out here. We all get fed it. Makes you ask though, who puts information into that? We don't know. What does that information look like? Is it a field? Is it a pool of water? I've got no idea. Is it another dimension? It's probably another dimension. We don't know. It's just we don't understand it. Yeah, I mean, I'm talking to you right now. We're talking right now. We're connected to this field. We can't see this field. It's much bigger to us. Go on.
How science occurs, and it's way more revelatory if you actually look at the descriptions from the scientists.
Yeah.
They're not like, I calculated XYZ and then the answer came to me. It came to the architecture of the hydrogen atom came to Wolfgang Pauli in a dream.
Right.
The rock equation came to him while he was staring at the fire. This idea that the mind is fully separate from an objective material world, I think that'll probably go away pretty soon.
Yeah. There's a concept out there where I forget who said it, but they talk about us being like a receiver.
Yes.
And that the consciousness field is like is the signal, and then we're just tapping into that field, right? I think that's a cool analogy that actually makes a lot of sense when you start to answer some of these questions of how this is happening, right?
Totally.
I like that analogy. That kind of sits well with me.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, transmission theory of consciousness. Yeah,
we're just tapping in, man.
Totally.
Tapping in.
Yeah, and maybe our job is to like work on us as receivers, like work on the the energy field.
Well, if you
around
think
it.
about it like that too, like we're almost like a technology ourselves, and if you eat healthy and you work out, the signal's better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Better information, better downloads.
Well, what's happening when you daydream? Are you constructing those thoughts actively? No, it seems like that you're receiving things from elsewhere. Like if you're in a dreamlike state, you are not consciously creating the semantic thoughts, but they're pouring in. And there's this question in neuroscience of like the binding problem. Like they know how all the disparate parts of your brain work. Broca's area is speech, Wernicke's area is reading comprehension. But we don't know how it blends together into the seamless perception.
And then they can remove a part that's supposed to do this thing, and then it will find a way around and to rewrite and do it anyway.
Exactly. It's somehow malleable and understands how to.
Yeah.
And it's like.
So that's actually cool. I did not learn that. Learning with you, friends. I had no idea. So we got all the science, I guess, hunkered down when it comes to the brain. They know which each individual part does, but they don't. I guess there's a binding problem. It's kind of funny. Oh, there's this one word. Oh, we don't know how things bind together. Like, dude, that's the whole magic. You're saying the synergy. That's like someone gets a human and they're like, oh, I can see that you have a hand and you have a heart and you have legs and you have a brain. I can see these things, yeah, but you miss their whole soul. Like, what makes a human different to like a monkey? What makes it, you know what I mean? You're missing that whole thing. That's the whole, we don't even know how the brain works. It's kind of crazy, yeah? They take one part of the brain out, it starts rewiring things out here. Like, what's going on out here? They can't understand the magic behind it. One day we probably will. I don't know if you and I will still be around here in this flesh. Maybe we'll come back and do what we call the soul loop, friends. That's what happen out here. It's part of like UFO lore. Interesting, a lot of people out there. Spirituality. That's a lot of theories and stuff out here. And by the way, we all know, friends, there's thousands and thousands and thousands, over like 12,000 documented cases of children with past memories. So before the age of 4, kids come out, they have memory of a past life. One of them, very famous, it was a Hollywood director. And the guy was killed by a tractor on his farm. And the kid was talking about, oh yeah, I got killed on a farm, a tractor ran over me, and then his mother, Wikipedia, he's actually look it up, I forgot the guy's name. It's funny, the kid was watching himself. He's like, Daddy, he's like, Mommy, that's me. I forgot what the Hollywood director, we'll find it, I think it was on the Wi-Fi. So like really, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, got ran over by a tractor on the farm. The kid was like, yeah, I got killed, I died by a tractor on the farm. And the mum looks it up, it's literally on Wikipedia, like, oh, he got killed on his farm, ran over by a tractor, just run over him. So this is very, very, very common. Children with past memories. At the age of 4, you actually start storing new memories. Not sure if you know, friends. That's why kids, you can't remember anything before the age of 4. But it just makes you think as well, where's it coming from? In the past memories. It is interesting to think about.
It's like a radio. Like if you were to remove the capacitor or the battery of the radio, maybe the music would stop playing or not play in the right way. But you really need to know that it's tapping into an electromagnetic field via this antenna. Yeah. The field's still there. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing tapping into, Vivaldi's Four Seasons or whatever's playing, like it's the field. It's not, locally being produced inside of you.
What do you think, just your opinion on that? Is that like the Planck field? Is that where that sits? Is that it? Is that
gets into stuff that's way smarter than me and deeper than me, but I think there's a sub-quantum field that deals with quantum potentials, so vector and scalar potentials that deal with actually what we were talking about before as far as anomalies in electromagnetism, where this guy named Lorentz, who had this equation where he set the derivatives of the vector and scalar potentials to 0, but in fact, I think Oliver Heaviside, who kind of, was one of the fathers of electromagnetism, knew this, and basically, I think there's another field involving scalar and vector potentials, and that explains these anomalies in electromagnetism, like the Aronoff-Bohm effect, where you don't have electric fields or magnetic fields present, but you do have these potentials present.
Right.
And so maybe a lot arises around these potentials, and maybe the potentials themselves are sort of the quantum code, if you will, of the universe, which is kind of information theoretic a la John Wheeler. And again, I'm speaking about things that are well beyond my pay grade, but these are
but it ties into the same thing. And I also Have you heard of the E8 theory, where it's like the 8-dimensional quasi crystal is projecting reality onto? Oh man, look into that. Did you dig that? Because that gets a little beyond my understanding of it. Because I just this is like hobby level, like looking into it for me.
Me too.
I don't have that kind of I don't have the background, but they talk about this that our reality is a projection from an 8-dimensional plane, and that and they can correlate that with all the different particles that tie into. And the way they describe it's really cool. Like they show a 2-dimensional depiction of a 3-dimensional crystal on as a shadow, and they show you how it moves and rotates when they rotate the 3-dimensional piece. And they say if you can imagine that 8 levels up, and like that's how that's projecting down into 3D.
That's fast.
That's pretty cool, man.
Well, it's almost like, this, like you have these platonic solids, these, platonic objects that like a tesseract.
Right.
You cannot visualize a tesseract.
No.
You can only see the shadow of a tesseract.
Right. And that's a 3D
And that's a 3D
object
rendering of this higher thing. And
Mm-hmm.
then you have to ask, is the world itself a 3D rendering of this higher thing going on? Which goes back to like Plato's cave.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And are we just rendering it in this like kind of low level substrate that's all we can kind of comprehend?
And then that's the quantum, what is it, the double slit experiment that would explain, how we collapse the wave function with consciousness, right?
I think an extremely valid hypothesis that's actually consistent with the Copenhagen school's interpretation that measurement collapses the wave function is that there's something actually about our minds that collapse the wave function. And every serious quantum field theorist entertained this at the time. And now you have modern quantum theorists saying, no, it's just the particles kind of, once they interact, once the waves interact, they collapse into particles or whatever. Right. And it's like, well, what about like what Schrodinger himself thought, or what about what von Neumann thought?
Well, it's like Sean Carroll talks about this. He's got like a very strict view on this, where it's like this is just how the math plays out, or whatever. And then you go like the other extreme, where it's like, no, this is saying that consciousness is collapsing the wave function. And so, is it actually when they say this? And I don't know exactly the right answer to this. Are they saying that the actual act of measurement, or just the act of observing? Which one?
So. Copenhagen school keeps it very humble in their claims, and they just say the act of measurement collapses the wave function. And I'm glad you brought up Sean Carroll, because he's the most popular kind of quantum guy now. And what he'll say is reality itself, quantum reality itself, is probabilistic. Mm-hmm. But that is totally antagonistic. And that is again, and I'm a fan of Sean Carroll, and he's like explained all sorts of things that like a stupid person like me can understand, so I'm grateful to him. But he'll say things like reality is fundamentally probabilistic, like somehow Schrodinger's wave equation, which is probabilistic, is the substrate of reality. Schrodinger himself would talk about Schrodinger's cat existing in superposition,
right,
as a joke, because he did, and there's even clips of Roger Penrose being like,
he wasn't serious.
He wasn't serious. He didn't actually think that the cat could exist in superposition.
He's almost using it as a way of like showing the ridiculous.
Showing how ridiculous and weird, as far as ontological truth, the quantum stuff points to, but saying we actually probably need to figure this out.
People often say, well, maybe with a sufficient technicality, we could build a Schrodinger's cat. That was not what Schrodinger's point was. He was saying this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You can't really have a cat which is dead and alive at the same time.
Yeah. But it was an illustration of a wider point, right?
That's right.
I love how science and this esoteric thinking and science is all kind of coming together in this unique way.
What do you think about that, friends? So, science moving forward, what are they going to uncover? A lot of weird stuff appearing. I'm sure you've heard of Plato's cave as well. Whenever we speak about multidimensional stuff, I always tell you about the movie Interstellar, the ending. This is like, I still think about that, because that is, if you want to know, remember Murph, this is what it looks like. So what is actually happening? What the hell is this room? Remember you and I, we live in the 3-dimensional world. We are bound by time. So time ticks on, whatever we think time is, whatever, and we're bound by it. You and I, we can't do anything about that. Well, we move a dimension up, I guess they say you can actually control time now, because now you can see, we can't do this because we're monkeys, right? You can see every path that every person takes. So if you're looking at someone in a house, at the same time, you can see them walk through the door, sit on the lounge, sit on the squeaky chair, do a handstand, feed their fish. You see every stream, how the movie ends. And that's why in Interstellar, it looked like this weird room, because what Murphy's actually doing is, see, each line of this is like a violin string, and Murphy is trying to control time. He's trying to control the clock for his daughter's watch. So he's trying to literally, I don't know if you remember, she's looking at a bookcase. Okay, she's looking at a bookcase, and maybe you can actually see it right here. That's actually crazy. Someone's got this picture here on like Pinterest. That's what it is. So Murphy's like sitting looking at the bookcase, and here he is out here. He's trying to move like gets like waves of time. I guess it's controlling air in the room, and it moves like different dust particles, and it's trying to like move the clock on the watch. So it's just remember we're humans trying to imagine you could speak to a fish. And you're like, okay, you've lived in a fishbowl your whole life. Let me try to explain to you what it's like swimming in Mars, in the sand. You're not actually in water. You see what I mean? Like, so foreign as a concept to these other beings and entities out here. But it makes you think about these things moving forward and this stuff we uncover. They spoke about, remember, these probabilistic stuff out here. I mean, all these other quantum things out here. But yeah, it all comes down to that one thing, friends. This shared consciousness, okay? We are linked. We learn stuff faster because we really do stand on the shoulders of giants before us. I wonder what happens when you roll this forward out here. Let me know what you think, friends. Do these experiments shock you? What's Neil deGrasse Tyson going to say about that? Like, subscribe. Catch you in the next one.